I found this heartbreaking story out of California. 3-year-old girl dies in a botched exorcism. This is reported by U.S. News and through the Christian Post. So this is San Jose, California. 3-year-old girl. 3-year-old words is hard.
Words is hard.
Words is hard. Okay, 3-year-old girl died within their walls last September after undergoing a botched exorcism. So let me go through some of the facts real quick here of the story before I totally melt down on you here.
Right.
Cause of death is asphyxiation. She couldn't breathe.
Mm.
The mother, she began to believe her daughter was possessed because she would, quote, wake up and scream or cry periodically, unquote.
Okay, yeah, that's super unusual for a 3-year-old.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, just coming back down to earth for a second. And so their solution to a crying baby, induce vomiting.
What?
Of course. I mean, wouldn't you?
I mean, yeah, to make somebody stop crying, I want to make them throw up.
Okay. And
Like,
then,
what
and
is
then-
going on?
Yeah, and so here's the what is this, the pièce de résistance. So obviously people are, mothers and are upset. Hey, there's something wrong with my baby girl. Let me take her to the church where my father is the pastor. And what do? Wait for it.
Waiting.
More of the same. They hold her down. They hold her by her shoulders and her legs, and they continue to try to induce vomiting. Like if the first time, I can't even say it out loud. It's so bewildering.
I'm just trying to get from A to B here, and I mean, okay, like I don't want to just overlook the tragedy of these people effectively murdering a 3-year-old girl, and like that's just horrible. But it's like, how do you get from, okay, you have a demon child, and we're going to get it out of you by making you throw up? Like, what scripture are we quoting here? Like, and lo, Jesus done make him throw up to get the demon out? Like, I don't remember reading that.
Where are you in your thinking where, like, let's give them the benefit of the doubt that whatever screaming and crying is going on is just way above and beyond anything that is normal, right? What crazy thought process do you have that your first instinct isn't to call 911 or to put that girl in a car? You put her in a car and took her to church. Why wouldn't you take her to the freaking emergency room?
Right. And this, so in this, the name of this church, Iglesia Apóstoles y Profetas, I mean, it's clearly a Hispanic church. So, maybe there's something, if these are people coming from, poorer places, they might not have had access to hospitals or things like that. So there might be something cultural to the individuals there that we're not thinking about. But it's like, as a pastor, I mean,
Yeah.
to
like,
say that somebody is possessed and that you need to do an exorcism, like, there needs to be a high burden here.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Like, I'm afraid of deportation, so I let my daughter die. Doesn't cut it. So you get deported. Deal with it. You know what I mean? This is not nuanced, like high level logic or philosophy. This is very simple.
I mean, I do kind of want to counter that with saying, like, as people that cannot be deported from this country, it's kind of a privileged position to say, don't worry about deportation.
No, I'm not saying don't worry about it. I'm saying get your priorities straight.
Yeah, I mean, and get get a doctor.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just,
Yeah.
and of course, asphyxiation, I'm not sure if that was because of, the child choking on its own vomit or what they were doing. But I mean, it's like, and this is just absurd. I mean, there are those branches of Christianity which are thankfully not super common that basically see it's like there's a demon under every bed kind of a thing,
Right.
and these congregations that do, these exorcisms constantly, sometimes multiple times in the same person, because that's just how good their exorcism chops are, I guess.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, I don't get that. I mean, it's like we understand that certain things are not demonic possession. And I don't know that if I ever saw an actual demonically possessed person, that rolled off the tongue really great.
Yeah, let's get real about that. Everything that in the old world would be called demonic possession is something that we now know is some sort of medical problem. Like that's just what it is. There are a lot of people who are gonna kind of throw arrows my way because they're gonna say, Scott, these are clearly uneducated, uncivilized people, and this does not represent Christianity as a whole, not modern American Christianity. But I'm sorry, I just have to ask myself, well, if exorcisms are just the purview of the uncultured, uneducated, unrefined, then what is Mark Driscoll at Mars Hill doing exorcisms in the basement of his church? So don't tell me this is a fringe thing. It happens anywhere where people in power can take advantage of people who are vulnerable in any way. And so this is something that needs to be talked about, and quite frankly, it just needs to be killed off. People performing exorcisms.
Yeah, I mean, like if anybody like watching or listening to this has experienced what they believe was a real demonic possession, by all means, reach out to us and let us know and tell us about it. But for my part, I do not remain convinced that, you're going to see a lot of demonic possession, if there is such a thing in this country, least of all.
Right.
We're so screwed up as a nation, as a culture, that we don't need demonic possession to do anything. I mean, people walk away from God on their own. People are afraid of all manner of thing. We don't need that.
Right. I don't know exactly who to speak to. Like when we say, how do we make these things better in the church world? Like, how do we stop these stories from happening? And it's like, you need to understand that knowledge isn't just the purview of the pastor. Truth isn't just the purview of the senior pastor. There are Christian doctors. There are Christian scientists. There are Christian philosophers. In any walk, in any profession of life, there are people who love and pursue Jesus. And I'm sure that when that mind goes to the place of, we need to perform a religious exorcism to get the demon out of this person, I'm willing to bet any amount of money in my pocket at any given time. If you ask that person, hey, did you consider consulting a doctor? The answer would probably be no.
Yeah. And, I don't know if it's just like, if that's a mistrust of doctors, if that's just, such a high degree of illiteracy in terms of science, or what that is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's like, go to a doctor first. I mean, or heck, even at this point, I mean, maybe other parents, I'm sure, could have, offered some advice,
Right.
before this pastor. And again, how do we get from this demon in you to, I'm going to make you puke it out? Don't get.
Right.
But like, who thinks it's a good idea to make a child violently throw up? And to like, and just, I mean, what it comes down to, just physical abuse.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like something at every stage in this game should have made like these people stop and go, hey, I don't think what we're doing is cool.
Yeah. Like it's like I said, this one is just so off the rails that it's hard to know how to even summarize this, except to say to you out there, we say it all the time. You need communities of radical accountability. You need communities of radical transparency. You know, there are things you don't know. There are things that I don't know. So the best thing we can do is surround ourselves with people who know about anything, whatever it is you need to know about. You know, cars, how not to get swindled by lawyers, medicine, you know, whatever it is. The best thing you can do in any walk of life is surround yourself with people who know more than you do. You will never regret that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that's all I've got to say. I'm getting off my soapbox.
I've got nothing else to add to this, you know, other than, you know, hey, you know, if you ever see somebody doing something like this to a child, you know, call DCFS immediately.
Yep.
You know, if it feels wrong, it is.
Yeah.
And it feels wrong because it's that obvious to a person's soul that treating a child like this is sick.